maybe I'll become a famous, filmmaker or that kind of stuff, looking back on it as at that age.
Do you think that would have made you happy?
No. Oh my gosh, because like, it's like one of those things you see your friends around you. So,
Uh-huh.
like, Jubilee Project's at, like, 7.5 million subscribers now and, like, all that kinda stuff. Which I love. I still love the guys, right? Like, but, like, the more and more people you meet, and they're starting to get more influence and fame, and I was that guy, like, at the restaurant hanging out with my friend, and, like, there's a line opening in front of my
Really?
friend,
Okay.
and I was just like, either you have to either you have to be so insecure that it feeds you, like, all this attention feeds your insecurity, right? Or it's miserable. It's like you can't
There's no
go
in
any
between.
there's no in between. So then that's kinda when I was just like, I don't think I would've been happy. Like, I think it would've fed my insecurity at the time, but then I think it would've ruined me, honestly, like, in, like, a mental health crisis way.
That's interesting. I've never heard it said that way. So you don't think that like very famous people, like there's no just like in between. They're either, no, I'm not saying there's no in between, but it's likely that they're wired a certain way to like feed that narcissism or that
Right.
insecurity, or they're just like, I don't like this, which is why you see a lot of celebrities fight for privacy. They have to pay so much of the
Yeah,
money they
they're
make
very private.
for privacy,
Right.
right? But that's happening on like this micro level now because of social media. We all have these micro famous people, micro influencers, you name it. Um, when you look at like the world today through that lens, and I'll get into some of like a lot of the neuro stuff that you like, do you just see society like, wow, we are like not capable of handling this at all? Like we're just everyone on Instagram or TikTok, like we are just screwed.
I think, I'm on the opposite end in terms of, no, we are capable. I do think the environment has become much more difficult
Hmm.
for people to learn. Like, for example, like, a lot of my clients are running teams and they're complaining about Gen Z, right? Because they experience these things. I'll give you one example. One client was like, I was doing this event, really important event. I need to hire two people. These two Gen Z, right? People signed up and he was paying good money and everything. The day of the event, both of them, no show, nothing, ghosted, won't respond, not even a heads up. Hey, I can't make it. So I'm examining stuff like that, and people are complaining about. But when you study it, it's because they haven't been equipped to handle uncomfortable
Conversations.
feelings. It's a
Feelings.
The
Okay.
mindset behind it is, I would much rather not experience the disappointment or anger in your face. I will ghost you. It's the same thing with cancel culture. I would rather not have this difficult conversation to try to have a connection and try to figure something out together. I will just cancel you, right? So the reason for that, though, if there's always a reason for the behavior. If their daily environment, anyone can whip out a phone if you do something stupid at school. It can go on the internet. You're not experiencing the shame of just the room. You're experiencing the shame of like the internet.
Hmm.
And it was interesting, right? Because like, but we don't equip. I don't think current modalities equip the younger generations to handle that level of emotional difficulty. So, but it doesn't mean that they can't learn it. So I do feel like we're all capable. I think we just have our work cut out for us to be able to equip our future generations.
That sounds like a lot of work
Yeah.
cut out for us because if you think about how we behave on a phone, we
Right.
don't like something, just delete it or
So
block
easy.
it or turn it off or switch the channel, go to something else instantly. Uh, I don't know. When we were growing up, like I didn't have cable TV. If I didn't like a show, I just left it on because there's like no other option.
Yeah.
Or just go outside or
Right.
do whatever. Okay, I never thought about that way. That's very interesting. Do you see like adults who like my age or older or whatnot are more equipped for it, or are we just as ill equipped for a handle? Because now we're all on these phones and we're all on social media and we're all seeing this, and it's easy for us to complain about Gen Z, which is funny because 10 years ago everyone was complaining about millennials,
Right.
and now they've got kids,
Yeah.
right, and all that. So, uh, like, do you see the approach to kind of working through all that and equipping ourselves differently for like those generations?
Yes. Like the way I see it is we have what each other needs. You see what I'm saying? It's like kind of like that classic of like if a Gen Z is in a bind and their GPS isn't working, the older Gen X could be like, "Why do you need that? I already know all the streets." Like I'm trying to come up
Yeah.
with a good example, but something like that. But every generation has their trauma. Like millennials, I'm a tail end on the older side of the millennial. It was interesting because I went from not having a cell phone to having a cell phone and then watching how it became rude to call people. But I used to call people all the time, my friends on the phone. But now it's just like it's rude to call me because you could have texted me and I get to respond on my own time if you text. How dare you call me? Right? It literally became a cultural thing. And I felt that too at times when people are calling. I'm like, I don't. Do you see every generation has their like
Yeah.
quirks and it's interesting. But then at the end of the day, we all can. That's kind of why I like the science. Like we can all equip ourselves to be able to handle the different scenarios.